Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Part two. Part two. All right. September 8th, 2020. Day 175 of quarantine. So, a few other community leaders, along with myself, launched an underground education facility for the youth who are uninfected. We take precautions, kind of extreme precautions to be honest, to check for first the COVID-19, then the virus. So there's 2 checkpoints prior to entry for the safety of both our students and staff. Ever since the government made it a felony to leave a house and or be seen in groups of more than 2, things have gotten worse. I wanted to say bad, but bad doesn't even scratch the surface when describing our current state. Anywho, so there are so many empty buildings and houses that we choose a location, one preferably in the cuts, and we mark the front doors with a huge 2-sided triangle looking symbol that represents the house. The whole scene looks like something out of a movie. We have guards on the lookout outside and along the block. We have youth who takes turns being our second set of eyes, as we like to call it. Just extra cautious. Oh, and since the implantation of the COVID chips, people of the world has to take even more precautions. So let me break down this COVID chip because the very first day of September marked a new set of law. It's crazy that I'm even recording this right now, to be honest, because new law is law. Apparently, Donald Trump knew all along the intentions behind the COVID chip. This is why he required all Americans be implanted. Then, other world leaders jumped on board almost immediately. Once he announced that they were free and would make you immune to the virus, I knew something was up. But more importantly, the world was on the verge of destruction. The COVID chip acts as a GPS tracker, a bank card because it is now our current currency, a punch card to punch in and out of work, a personal planner, and so much more. I even heard that in the near future, the government would team up with Apple to release the COVID chip featuring Siri. Can you imagine walking around down the street saying, "Hey Siri," and she responds about your neck? No way. But hey, the way the world today is set up, no telling what to expect. It ain't even funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. She gonna be playing music out your neck and everything. Or would they implant a speaker in us too? Whew. Too much to think about. Back to today. So this morning, as I'm getting ready to go meet Pete, he sells faulty COVID chips to move around without being jailed, but also to not be tracked by the GPS monitor. I ran into a mother and her 3 kids under a bridge. She was so afraid that I'd turn her in when I seen her that she grabbed her kids, trembling in fear, and just broke out in prayer. Where am I? She started out silently praying, but as I started walking in her direction, the silent prayer shifted to a whisper, then to an all-out cry to God. She prayed and she cried and she held her kids so tightly, so tight that her oldest, who had been no older than about 6 years old, squealed in pain due to the tight grip his mother had on his shoulder. When I was close enough for her to hear me, what I was attempting to say, but also giving her enough space to not feel threatened, I said aloud, "You're fine. You are okay," trying to reassure her before anyone heard the commotion and called the government. From the looks of it, she wasn't chipped neither. She wasn't chipped. Neither were her kids. That means she's gone this whole time without getting her weekly rations from the government. Oh yeah. Last month, all grocery stores, restaurants, and anywhere that you could get food was shut down all the way. No to-go orders, no deliveries, nothing. The government promised the people that they'd find an alternative to shopping, and with that, they are governed. I'm sorry, because it's crazy. I mean, I remember watching these movies and, seeing little documentaries on back when, and I don't even want to bring up all that history, but rations. Just think about the word rations. Okay. So the government, they came out with these stations, and they brought them out to every neighborhood, so everybody's able to get your rations. You know, it's just a little hop, skip, and a jump away to the ration station. They're in every neighborhood, on every main street, and they're spread out sporadically throughout the rural cities. Back to this woman and her kids, though. The baby looked like it needed to eat, and the boy seemed so sad. We have an education facility for the youth that helps with families, helping out with food and other household items. I finally got a chance to get out to her without her praying over me and not hearing me. She looked a little confused, but she also had an accent, so I'm not sure if she understood me. So I tried to continue, but much slower this time. I mean, until she understood. Like school for him. I pointed to the little boy and kept going until I felt she understood. He can eat. You too. And baby, you all can eat. I said as I pointed to each of them and my stomach, giving them the eating sign. She stood there for a little over 6 seconds before a long stream of tears left her eyes. He hears us, she stated in pure joy. She said another silent prayer, thanking God, I assumed, and walked a bit closer, although it was commonplace at this time to stand anywhere from 6 to 10 feet away, just naturally. Tell me more, she said, with a half smile on her face. I gave her as much info and the location of this week's Ed House. That's what we called them, the Ed House. She was so grateful. It made everything I've been doing up until this point so worth it. After sending Morelli on her way, oh yeah, her name is Morelli, I followed my route to meet Pete. When I got to him and put in my order for 12 when I got to him, I put in my order for 12 COVID chips and 12 adult COVID chips and 8 children's COVID chips. I thought about Morelli and her little family. And although there was a process for buying faulty chips, I felt that God brought her in my life for a reason, and I'd do anything to see God's plan out. So I tells Pete, I'm going to need 13 adult chips and 10 kid ones. That wasn't the deal, Keish, Pete responds, while shaking his head and raising his eyebrows at me. What, you done ran into another stray pretty girl and her kids and try to jump them ahead of everyone else to the front of the line? For what, Keish? For what? You cannot keep doing this. I cut him off mid-sentence. Bro, shut the fuck up. Damn. This is different, I swear. I feel like God sent this woman in my direction for me to help. Bro, she may have an answer or something. I don't know. All I know is I feel like God's talking to me, and I'm going to answer. Every time, no hesitation. Oh, God telling you to cut deserving families in line, huh? Bro, Pete says, all sarcastically. But he always ends up giving me what I need. Just got to give me a hard time about it first. Bro, you got me? I asked in a serious manner, waiting on a serious response. Bet. Then he does some weird secret knock on the door near where we met, and he was let in. Come on, Keish. I follow him in. We walk past an operation room where his associates implants the faulty chips and takes the real ones out. Pete goes, look, Keish, just send me the list, give me the names. We're gonna, he tells me how to do it. He gives me the 3 chips that I requested because I had 3 that, I knew. They knew how to get them in. Me personally, I don't know the operation sense of it. The chips are in your neck right here, and you gotta put them joints in. Feel me? Anyway, I go to the, talking to Pete. He hands me the 3 chips and tells me to come back with the families who needs to be implanted for the procedure, because they can't do the procedure somewhere else. They're going to have to take precautions. He tells me to make sure that you check for the COVID-19, make sure you check for the virus before even bringing them to around his facility. Hey, that's all right. I can do it. Anyway, I leaves with my 3 chips in hand, and I tells Pete, I'll be at you tomorrow, bro. Don't forget to come by the Ed house. I got something really important to show you. And y'all gonna hear about it in part 3.